The sky over Velora burned red and orange. Smoke twisted high into the atmosphere, black clouds blotting the sun. Once proud cities now lay in ruins. Their tall spires toppled and streets cracked from explosions. Screams echoed through the streets, though many had been silenced by the chaos. Kyle, a young Veloran diplomat, ran through the wreckage with his communicator clutched tightly. His elongated fingers trembled not from fear alone, but from the sheer weight of hopelessness pressing down on him. He had never imagined that his people, peaceful, intelligent, and skilled in diplomacy, would face such violence. The invaders had come suddenly. Ships the size of mountains had appeared in Velora's orbit, dark and gleaming, firing lasers that carved the planet's surface. The Galactic Empire showed no mercy. They destroyed everything that resisted. The Velorans' advanced defenses had failed. Their weapons, designed for precision and defense, could not match the sheer power of the invaders. Kale ducked under a collapsing archway, dust filling his lungs. Around him, Velorans were scrambling to evacuate civilians, carrying the injured and trying to salvage what little they could. Kale's communicator beeped. It was a distress signal, the last hope of his people. Send it, he whispered to himself. Maybe someone will hear. He raised the communicator to the sky. The SOS signal was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. It was a complex message, full of data about Velora, its people, their plight, and a desperate plea for help. Kale knew it would take years to reach any civilization capable of intervening, but he had to try. The streets shook again as another explosion erupted nearby. Kale felt the ground tremble beneath him. He ran toward the central plaza, where Velora's largest communication array still stood. If anyone was going to see this message, it had to be sent from there. Kale, a voice called out. It was Lyra, a colleague and friend. Her teal eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, reflecting worry and exhaustion. The array is damaged. We might not be able to send it. Kale shook his head. We don't have a choice. We have to try. Even if no one answers, at least someone in the galaxy will know what happened here. They reached the array, a towering structure of metal and glass, cracked and sparking from enemy fire. Kyle activated the controls, fingers flying over the holographic panels. The signal began to build, pulsing like a heartbeat into the empty reaches of space. For hours, Kyle and Lyra worked tirelessly, dodging debris and explosions. Above them, the enemy ships circled like predators, their weapons scanning for any signs of resistance. Velora's defenses had already been largely destroyed, and now only desperate human ingenuity, if it ever arrived, could offer hope. Finally, the SOS signal launched. It traveled across the stars faster than any ship could go, a silent scream into the vast dark galaxy. Kale and Lyra watched the message depart, their hearts heavy with the uncertainty of whether anyone would respond. Hours later, Kale collapsed onto the cracked plaza floor. We did what we could, he said, though the words felt hollow. Around him, Velorans were still fighting to survive, but the hopelessness weighed on them like a thick fog. In another part of the galaxy, on a small blue planet called Earth, humans were living their ordinary lives. But for some, the calm of the day was about to shatter. Deep underground in a secret research and military facility, scientists were monitoring space for unusual signals. Dr. Malik adjusted the controls, frowning at the data streaming in. This is strange, he muttered. The signal was faint, distant, but unmistakably intelligent. Someone or something was sending a plea for help. Commander Juno leaned over his shoulder, arms crossed. Can we trace it? We can, Dr. Malik replied. But it's coming from far beyond any known human or allied territory. If it's a real SOS, it could be years old by the time it reaches us. Juno narrowed her eyes. Years or not, someone is calling for help. And we don't leave people to die when we can do something. The room fell silent. They all knew the risks. Venturing so far beyond Earth's territory was dangerous. Unknown civilizations, unknown threats, uncharted space, but the human instinct to act, to protect, was stronger than fear. Meanwhile, back on Velora, Kale and Lyra had taken shelter in an underground shelter with a small group of survivors. Outside, the invaders continued their destruction, their weapons cutting through the city like knives through cloth. Velora had never known war on this scale, and its people had no experience in fighting back. We can't keep hiding forever, Lyra said quietly. We need something. A miracle. Kale's gaze drifted upward as if looking toward the stars could summon help. Maybe someone will hear us. Maybe someone will come. The night fell and Velora's sky burned with fire and smoke. In the darkness, Kale stared at the stars, imagining a distant civilization receiving their plea, imagining a force coming from beyond the void to help them. The hope was fragile, almost impossible to hold on to, but it was all they had. And somewhere across the galaxy, a planet of blue and green silently received that faint call. Humans, curious and brave, had detected the SOS. And though the journey would be long and the path uncertain, the seeds of salvation had been planted. Kyle whispered into the darkness, not knowing if anyone would answer. If you can hear us, please, come. For the first time in many days, a small spark of hope flickered in Velora's battered hearts. They had sent their call, and though the universe seemed silent, Kale believed that somewhere someone would respond. The stars remained quiet that night, indifferent and endless. But Earth had heard, and Earth would act. The battle for Velora's survival had only just begun, but the first step had been taken, and for the Velorans, knowing they were not completely alone, knowing that someone somewhere might come to help, was enough to keep them moving forward. Earth was quiet that morning, its cities bustling with ordinary life. People went to work, children played in parks, and news broadcasts reported the usual events. But far below the surface, in a secret research and military facility, hidden under the Rocky Mountains, silence was a different kind of quiet, a tense, expectant stillness. Commander Juno walked briskly down the corridor, her boots clicking against the metal floor. Every few steps she glanced at the massive reinforced doors, each labeled with warnings that would make ordinary people hesitate. Behind those doors were Earth's most advanced projects, genetic experiments, combat technologies, and machines designed for war. But today, none of that felt abstract or experimental. Today, it had a purpose. Dr. Malik, the lead biologist on the project, was already at the central lab. Screens flickered with data from satellites and deep space monitors. He turned as Juno entered, adjusting his glasses with a nervous hand. Commander, the SOS signal from Velora is real. It's old, but we can detect it clearly now. They're intelligent, peaceful, and they're being wiped out. Juno nodded, her expression grim. And no one else is responding? Malik shook his head. Nothing. Either they're too far away, unwilling, or too afraid. But we can do something. Juno's jaw tightened. Then we will do something. Prepare the team. The team she referred to was unlike any Earth military squad. These weren't ordinary soldiers. These were humans trained in extreme adaptability, capable of surviving in alien environments. And alongside them were the beasts, genetically engineered creatures designed for combat in space. They were intelligent, loyal, and incredibly powerful. Some looked like massive wolves, others like feline predators with sleek armor-like skin, and a few resembled hybrid creatures with features of birds and reptiles. Each had been enhanced with neural links so they could understand human commands, communicate in limited ways, and coordinate attacks in battle. Lyra, the pilot assigned to lead the mission, strode into the lab, her flight suit hugging her tightly. Her expression was a mix of excitement and anxiety. So somewhere we're really doing this? Flying across light years to save an alien civilization? And with these creatures? Juno's eyes met hers. Yes, we're going to Velora. And those creatures? They're the key. They're faster, stronger, and smarter than any human soldier could be alone. Together we have a chance. Lyra swallowed hard, glancing at the beasts in their containment chambers. One of them, a massive, wolf-like creature, lifted its head and stared at her. Its eyes were intelligent, almost human in their awareness. She felt a shiver of both fear and awe. Malik approached the containment tanks. They're ready, he said softly. Genetically enhanced, trained for combat and coordination with neural links installed. They can understand us, follow commands, and even anticipate enemy movements. They're the best chance we have to protect Velora. Juno stepped closer, her hand resting lightly on the nearest tank. They will be our saviors, she said, and our responsibility. We take them with us and we bring hope to a world that has none. The lab fell silent as the team prepared for departure. Each human soldier and beast was suited up, neural links synchronized, weapons checked, and navigation systems calibrated for a journey that would take them far beyond Earth's borders. Hours later, the transport ships lifted off from Earth's surface, piercing the clouds and disappearing into the void, Inside the ships, the beasts prowled their containment areas, muscles tense with anticipation. The humans moved among them calmly, giving commands, checking systems, and ensuring that everything was in order. Lyra sat in the pilot's seat, hands on the controls. She glanced at the display, tracking Velora's location in the distant galaxy. "We'll get there," she whispered to herself. "We have to." Commander Juno walked past her, surveying the team. "Remember," she said firmly, "this mission is about more than combat. It's about saving lives. Keep the beasts safe. Keep each other safe. And do not underestimate these aliens. They may be peaceful, but they are intelligent. We must respect them." The beasts responded to the humans' voices and gestures in ways that were almost uncanny. One of the wolf-like creatures, named Kalis after a legendary Earth warrior, padded silently to Lyra's side. It pressed its massive head against her arm as if to say, "We are ready." Lyra smiled, feeling a bond forming instantly. As the transport ships left the solar system, leaving Earth far behind, the crew spent hours preparing for what awaited them. Simulations ran non-stop. Combat scenarios, planetary landings, and environmental hazards. The beasts were trained alongside the humans, responding to commands, practicing coordinated attacks, and learning to anticipate the unexpected. Juno stood in the observation deck watching the stars streak past. "We may be the first humans to travel this far for a rescue mission," she said quietly to Malik. "It's a big responsibility." Malik nodded, his eyes fixed on the distant glimmer of Velora's system. "Yes, but it's what humans do. When someone calls for help, we answer." The first encounter came sooner than expected. Sensors picked up a small patrol of enemy drones near Velora's orbit. Lyra guided the transport ship carefully, keeping it hidden behind an asteroid field. The beast tensed, muscles coiled, ready for action. "Stay calm," Juno ordered. "We don't attack unless necessary." But one of the drones detected movement. It fired a warning shot, exploding harmlessly nearby but alerting others. The beast reacted instantly. Kalis leapt forward, breaking free from the temporary restraints, his massive claws tearing through the drone with ease. Another beast, sleek and bird-like, swooped through space, disabling a second drone with precision strikes. Lyra maneuvered the ship with skillful precision, coordinating with the humans and beasts like a single team. In moments, the patrol was neutralized and the transport continued toward Velora, the crew exhilarated but aware that this was only a taste of what awaited them. Hours later, they approached the planet. Smoke and fire were visible even from orbit. Velora's cities were ruined, and the invading Empire's forces dominated the sky. The humans and beasts hovered in orbit, observing. Juno clenched her fists. "They need us," she said. "And we will not fail them." Malik tapped at his console. "We can provide immediate assistance. Deploy the beasts and teams to strategic locations. Protect civilians and try to slow down the enemy. The Valorans, they will be surprised by what we bring." Lyra smiled grimly. "Let's show them what Earth sends when the stars are silent." The transport ships descended, the beasts ready to leap into action. Humans and creatures moved with precision, a new force in the galaxy, unpredictable and terrifying to any who would harm the innocent. Below, on Velora, Kale and Lyra watched the sky. The first shapes of the approaching ships appeared, shimmering in the atmosphere. Their eyes widened. No one had expected help to come, not in a million years. They've come, Kale whispered. "But what are those beasts?" The beasts landed with thundering power, their forms alien yet magnificent. The humans coordinated with them flawlessly, demonstrating skill, intelligence, and bravery that the Valorans had never witnessed. Kale felt a strange mixture of fear and awe. These creatures, these humans, they were different. And somehow, he knew, they would be the key to saving Velora. As the first human and beast squads moved into the city, the invaders noticed them. Panic spread among their ranks. These were no ordinary soldiers, and these were no ordinary creatures. The battle for Velora had begun, and Earth's warriors were showing even from the very start why humans were feared and respected across the stars. The sky over Velora was still dark with smoke, but a new sight shimmered against the burning horizon. Massive shapes descended from orbit, sleek ships unlike anything the Valorans had seen. From their hulls leapt creatures of extraordinary size and strength, accompanied by humans moving with precision, coordination, and calm determination. Kale and Lyra stood on the edge of a crumbling plaza surrounded by fearful citizens. Their eyes widened at the sight. The humans were tall, muscular, and completely unlike any life form the Valorans had encountered. And the beasts? They were terrifying yet majestic, Kale whispered. Are they enemies? I don't know, Lyra replied, her voice shaking. They're helping us? Commander Juno landed her squad on solid ground first. The beasts followed, thundering onto the streets, their claws sending small tremors through the cracked pavement. The humans spread out, establishing a perimeter and scanning for threats. They were calm, organized, and fearless, a stark contrast to the panic and despair that had gripped Valora for weeks. Juno raised her hand, and the beasts paused. Kel watched astonished as the creatures obeyed instantly. They had intelligence, awareness, and discipline beyond anything the Valorans had imagined. This is incredible, Kale murmured. They are listening to them? Yes, Lyra said, awe in her voice. Humans and beasts, they work as one. Juno approached Kale carefully, keeping her hands open to show she meant no harm. We're here to help, she said simply. Her voice was firm yet gentle. We are not your enemies. Kyle blinked, unsure whether to trust them. After all, the galaxy had been silent for so long. No one had come, and now suddenly, these humans and their strange beasts appeared. Could this be real? Could this really be help? We are grateful, Kale finally said, bowing slightly. But, can you fight? The Empire. His voice broke. They destroyed everything. Juno's gaze hardened. We can, and we will. But we need to know where civilians are concentrated. We will protect them first. Then we will push the enemy back. Lyra looked around, relief and cautious hope filling her chest. They actually mean it? Yes, Kale whispered, hope catching in his throat. They mean it. The first clash came quickly. The invaders had spotted the humans and beasts and assumed them to be additional soldiers of Valora. Their lasers streaked across the sky, targeting the newcomers. But the humans reacted instantly. The beasts moved as one with the humans. Kylus, the massive wolf-like creature, leapt into the air, dodging blasts and tearing into a squad of enemy drones. A bird-like beast swooped down, using its sharp claws to disable another, while armored humans coordinated strikes with compact plasma weapons, targeting the invaders' weak points. Kale and Lyra watched in disbelief. The Valorans had never seen such coordination, such intelligence in combat. The beasts were not mindless. They anticipated, reacted, and even seemed to strategize alongside the humans. This is unlike anything we imagined, Kale said, his voice almost trembling. They are gods among soldiers. One of the humans, a pilot named Lyra, landed nearby and shouted commands to her team, her voice firm, full of authority yet not cruel. The humans responded instantly. The beasts followed, adapting to her strategy in real time. Kale noticed how seamlessly they moved together. The humans trusting the creatures trusting the humans. Lyra whispered, It's beautiful and terrifying. The invaders were caught off guard. They had expected chaos among the Valorians, but what they faced instead was an organized, intelligent force unlike anything in the galaxy. Panic spread among their ranks. The humans and beasts struck with precision, disabling weapons and taking control of key areas. Kale realized something incredible. Humans were not only brave, they were creative. When faced with unfamiliar technology, they adapted instantly, using the environment to their advantage. One squad redirected falling debris to crush enemy drones. Another used Valora's ruined streets to funnel enemies into traps. The beasts complemented every human move, striking with speed and force that no conventional weapon could match. For the first time in weeks, Valora had a fighting chance. Civilians began to emerge from hiding, peeking cautiously at the humans and beasts who were holding the line. Children pointed, eyes wide with wonder. Adults whispered prayers of gratitude. Kale felt a strange warmth in his chest, a hope he had thought was lost. Hours passed, and the humans and beasts continued to push the invaders back, reclaiming small sections of the city. Kale and Lyra assisted by guiding civilians to safe zones and helping humans navigate the unfamiliar terrain. Communication was difficult at first. The humans spoke a strange language, but gestures, calm tones, and the urgent need to survive bridged the gap. Finally, as night fell over the smoldering city, the first major battle ended. The invaders retreated to regroup, surprised and unnerved by the humans and their beasts. The streets were littered with the wreckage of their machines, a testament to the courage and ingenuity of the newcomers. Kale turned to Juno, who was surveying the battlefield with a calm, determined gaze. You saved many lives today, he said, awe in his voice. But how can you continue? The Empire is vast. They will come again. Juno looked at the distant stars, her expression resolute. We are not alone, Kale, and we will not stop. Humans adapt. Humans fight. And these beasts are more than weapons. They are partners. Together we can face any enemy. Kale nodded slowly. I see it now. The galaxy may be cruel and silent, but humans bring hope where there is none. They are extraordinary, Lyra smiled, tears glimmering in her eyes. They are like nothing we have ever imagined. They inspire us to keep going. The Valorans began to rally, inspired by what they had witnessed. They assisted humans and beasts in evacuating civilians, clearing rubble and tending to the wounded. For the first time, they felt they were not completely alone. Meanwhile, in the shadows, scouts of the Galactic Empire observed the scene. Their communications were frantic. They are not just soldiers, one reported. They think differently. They adapt. They are dangerous. The Empire's commanders were beginning to understand something they had never anticipated. Humans were unpredictable. Their courage, intelligence, and ability to work with the beasts made them a formidable force. And unlike anything the Empire had faced before, humans did not rely solely on technology. They relied on creativity, strategy, and trust in one another. As night settled over the city, Kale walked among the Valorians and humans. He paused by a small group of children who stared at Kalis, the massive wolf beast with wide eyes. Kalis nudged the children gently, allowing them to touch his fur. A smile spread across Kale's face. Perhaps the stars are not silent, Kale whispered. Perhaps they are waiting for beings like these to answer the call. Juno stood nearby, observing quietly. She knew the real battle was still ahead, but seeing the Valorans regain hope reminded her why they had come. Humans did not abandon those in need, and Earth had just proven it. The night was filled with a cautious quiet. Fires still burned in some districts, and distant explosions echoed from the retreating invaders. But for the first time, Valora had a chance. And Kale understood that humans and their beasts were not just allies. They were symbols of hope, courage, and ingenuity in a galaxy that had long forgotten what those words meant. Above, the stars glimmered silently, indifferent yet patient. And somewhere among them, other civilizations would soon hear the stories of humans, the strange, unpredictable creatures who had come from a blue planet to defend a world under siege. Kale smiled faintly. They are not like us. They are better. The morning sun barely pierced the smoke-filled sky of Valora, casting an eerie glow over the ruins of the capital city. The streets, still scorched from the previous day's battle, were filled with survivors trying to rebuild their shattered lives. But in the distance, the rumble of approaching warships reminded everyone that the fight was far from over. Kale stood on a ridge overlooking the city, his eyes following the movements of the human and beast squads as they prepared for another assault. The humans moved like a single organism, their coordination flawless. Beside them, the beasts flexed their muscles and sharpened their senses, ready to strike at a moment's notice. Kale's heart swelled with a mixture of fear and admiration. He had never seen such courage or such hope. Commander Juno addressed her team, her voice carrying authority and determination. We've learned from yesterday. The Empire is strong, but they underestimate us. Remember, strategy, intelligence, and adaptability are our greatest weapons. Protect the civilians and we will push them back. Lyra nodded, her hands resting on the controls of her hovercraft. Let's give them a taste of what Earth sends when the stars are silent. The first wave of invaders arrived faster than anyone anticipated. Massive ships descended from orbit, releasing squads of elite soldiers and drones. But the humans and beasts were ready. Kalis and the wolf-like creatures led the charge, leaping into battle with terrifying speed. Their claws tore through enemy drones while armored humans followed closely behind, targeting the invaders' weak points with precise strikes. Valoran civilians watched from the safety of shelters, their eyes wide in disbelief. Many had never seen combat before, and the display of human ingenuity combined with the beast's power was awe-inspiring. One Valoran child whispered to her mother, They are like gods, but they fight for us. Kale guided groups of civilians to safer zones, ensuring they avoided the chaos of battle. Lyra assisted in coordinating communications between humans and Valorans, using gestures and limited phrases to bridge the language gap. Slowly, trust began to form. The Valorans realized that these newcomers, though strange and formidable, were here to protect them. In the heart of the city, a massive confrontation took place. The invaders had fortified a central plaza, preparing a last stand. The humans adapted instantly. Using debris from destroyed buildings, they created barricades and traps. Beasts leaped from rooftops and narrow alleyways, ambushing enemy patrols with perfect timing. Kalis lunged at a group of elite soldiers, taking them down before they could react. A bird-like beast swooped in from above, using its sharp talons to disable the invaders' weapons. The humans coordinated the attacks, using small teams to flank enemies and exploit weaknesses. It was not brute force alone, it was strategy, intelligence, and courage in perfect harmony. Kale watched in amazement. The humans did not simply fight, they inspired. Valorans began to assist, using what little remained of their technology and resources to support the newcomers. Together they formed a new kind of army, combining the strength of humans, the intelligence of beasts, and the knowledge of Valorans. Despite the chaos, Commander Juno remained calm. "Focus on the weak points," she called out. "The invaders rely on numbers, but we rely on skill. Hit them fast, hit them smart, and we will win." The invaders, previously confident in their superiority, began to falter. Their weapons were no match for the combined force of humans and beasts. Panic spread among their ranks as squads were eliminated faster than they could regroup. Kale could see the fear in their eyes, a fear they had never expected from the strange creatures they now faced. Hours passed, and the humans pressed forward. They adapted to every challenge, using Velora's ruins to their advantage, turning the battlefield into a maze where the invaders were always at a disadvantage. The beasts moved with uncanny intelligence, anticipating enemy moves and protecting the humans in critical moments. Kale realized that the humans' greatest strength was not their technology, but their creativity and courage under pressure. In a daring move, Commander Juno led a squad through the heart of the enemy's formation. Kalis and the wolf beasts flanked her, tearing through the invaders' defenses. The humans coordinated strikes with precision, disabling weapons and forcing the enemy into retreat. The sight was breathtaking, an unstoppable force moving through chaos with purpose and intelligence. Velora's survivors began to cheer, their hope reignited. Children ran from shelters to watch the battle, inspired by the humans and beasts fighting for their lives. Adults began to reclaim territory, assisting with evacuation, tending to the wounded, and even joining in limited ways to support the newcomers. The city, though scarred, was slowly coming back to life under the protection of Earth's warriors. The invaders were forced to retreat to their larger ships in orbit, realizing they had underestimated the humans. Panic spread among their commanders. "These humans, they are unpredictable," one shouted. "They adapt, they think differently. They cannot be controlled." Back on the ground, Kale helped guide the last groups of civilians to safety. He glanced at the humans and beasts, awe in his eyes. "They are more than we imagined," he said. "They are hope itself." Lyra nodded, her eyes shining with tears. "They came when no one else would. They fight not for glory, not for conquest, but for life itself. Humans, and they are extraordinary." Commander Juno gathered her team. "This is just the beginning. The invaders will return and they will be stronger. But today we have proven that courage, intelligence, and teamwork can overcome even the greatest odds. Valora will survive, and together we will protect it." Kyle stood silently, watching as humans and beasts patrolled the city. The bond between them was remarkable. Humans relied on the beasts' strength and instincts, while the beasts trusted the humans' leadership and strategy. It was a partnership that went beyond species, a unity forged in courage and purpose. Night fell over Valora, but this time it was different. The fires of panic had dimmed, replaced by small lanterns of hope. Valora's citizens slept with a sense of security they had not felt in weeks. The humans and beasts remained vigilant, guarding the city against any surprise attacks. Kyle realized that something fundamental had changed. The Valorans had witnessed humanity's power, not just in battle, but in their compassion, ingenuity, and determination to help strangers across the stars. The humans had become symbols of hope, courage and the possibility of survival against impossible odds. The stars above remained silent, but Kale no longer felt alone. Somewhere across the vast galaxy, humans had answered the call. They had brought not only strength and strategy but also inspiration and hope. As he watched the humans and beasts prepare for the next day, Kale whispered, "Perhaps the galaxy is not so empty after all. Perhaps there is a force that will fight for those who cannot fight for themselves." Commander Juno, observing from a nearby ridge, spoke softly to her team. "The battle is far from over, but today we showed them what humanity can do. When the stars are silent, we answer, and we do not fail." Lyra tightened her grip on the controls of her hovercraft. "Tomorrow we push forward," she said. "We fight not for conquest, but for life, and nothing will stop us." The city of Velora, though battered and scarred, now had a chance. The humans and their beasts had turned the tide. The invaders had learned a terrifying truth. Earth's warriors were not ordinary soldiers. They were adaptable, courageous, intelligent, and relentless. And wherever they appeared, hope would follow. Kale looked at the humans one last time that night. He could see their exhaustion, their focus, their unyielding spirit, and he understood something vital. The galaxy may have been silent for too long, but Earth had chosen to speak through courage and action. Hope had arrived, and with it, a force that could not be ignored. The smoke had finally begun to clear over Velora. The city, though battered and scarred, was no longer a place of fear. Humans and their beasts patrolled the streets, ensuring that the remaining invaders were contained and that civilians could begin the slow process of rebuilding their lives. Kale walked alongside Commander Juno, observing the cleanup efforts. Velorans were helping wherever they could, inspired by the humans' courage and determination. For the first time in months, the planet felt alive, not just surviving, but moving forward. "You've done more than we could have imagined," Kale said quietly. "You didn't just fight, you gave us hope." Juno smiled faintly. "We didn't do it for recognition. We did it because it was the right thing to do. Your people called out and we answered. That's what humans do." Kale looked at her, amazed. "Humans. They are unlike anything we've ever seen. You fight, you adapt, you protect, even strangers. I don't know if our galaxy has ever witnessed anything like this." Juno's gaze softened. "Maybe not. But that is the point. Humans may be small in the galaxy, but we act with purpose, courage, and intelligence. And when we answer a call for help, nothing can stop us." Nearby, Lyra was guiding a team of humans and beasts as they helped rebuild a collapsed shelter. Kalis, the massive wolf-like beast, was assisting children in retrieving supplies, careful not to frighten them. The other beasts worked alongside humans, moving debris, carrying supplies, and keeping watch for lingering threats. Kale realized that these creatures, once seen as weapons, were more than that. They were partners. Together with humans, they had formed a force that could challenge even the most powerful enemies. The Velorians gathered in the central plaza to meet with the humans formally. Kyle and Lyra stood at the front, proud to introduce their new allies. Commander Juno and her team approached, flanked by the beasts. The Velorans watched in awe. "We owe you our lives," Kale said, addressing the humans. "Without your courage, your strength, and your intelligence, we would not have survived. You have shown us that even in the darkest times, hope can arrive from the stars." Juno nodded. "And we have learned something as well. Your people are resilient, intelligent, and brave. We are honored to have fought alongside you." A council of Velora's leaders stepped forward. "We wish to offer Earth an alliance," one said solemnly. "Your intervention has proven that you are not only capable but willing to act for the good of others. We would be proud to join with you as allies." Juno considered the offer carefully. "An alliance is meaningful only if both sides respect and learn from one another. We accept, and we hope this is only the beginning of a long partnership." Cheers erupted among the Velorians. For months they had felt abandoned and helpless. Now they had allies who would stand with them, not just as soldiers but as partners, as friends. In the following days, humans and Velorians worked together to rebuild the city. The beasts were everywhere, assisting with construction, providing security, and helping people navigate dangerous ruins. Kyle noticed how children laughed as Kalis gently nudged them forward, teaching them how to move debris safely. It was a strange and beautiful sight, a once terrifying creature now becoming a symbol of hope and friendship. Meanwhile, the remnants of the invading empire were regrouping in orbit. Their commanders realized that underestimating humans had been a grave mistake. They had never encountered a species that combined intelligence, adaptability, and courage in such a way. And the beasts? They had no precedent for creatures like them in their records. Back on Velora, Juno gathered her team. "The Empire will try again," she said. "But we have given Velora a chance. We've shown them that they are not alone, and we've proven to the galaxy that humans are a force that cannot be ignored." Lyra nodded. "We've done more than fight. We've inspired hope. And hope lasts longer than any weapon." Kyle watched the humans and beasts move through the city, coordinating efforts, guiding survivors, and teaching them ways to protect themselves. He realized something profound. Humans were not just warriors, they were leaders, teachers, and catalysts for change. Their presence had transformed Velora, not just by saving lives, but by showing its people what courage and determination truly meant. As days turned into weeks, Velora slowly returned to life. Markets reopened, children returned to schools, and communities began to repair what had been broken. Humans helped establish communication systems so that the planet could reach other civilizations more effectively, ensuring they would never feel abandoned again. Kale and Juno stood on a ridge overlooking the city. The beasts prowled nearby, alert but calm. The partnership between humans and Velorians had strengthened, and the invaders were nowhere in sight. "You've changed everything," Kale said softly. "Our people, they will never forget this." Juno's gaze was steady. "Neither will we. Humanity does not forget those who call for help, and we do not abandon them, no matter the distance or danger." Kale smiled faintly. "Then, Earth is more than a planet. You are a symbol. You are hope itself." Juno nodded. "And hope is contagious. One day others across the galaxy will hear of this, and perhaps they will act too, when the silent stars finally speak." The Velorians and humans shared a quiet moment of understanding. The alliance was more than politics or strategy. It was built on trust, bravery, and the realization that life, in any form, was worth defending. As the sun set over the repaired city, Lyra flew overhead in her hovercraft, watching the streets below. Kalis and the other beasts moved among the people, a constant reminder of the bond between humans and their new allies. Kale stood with Lyra, gazing at the horizon. "The Empire may return," he said, "but now we are ready. And if humans are here, we are never truly alone." Juno's team gathered, preparing to depart for Earth. Their mission was complete, but their presence had left a lasting mark. Velora was no longer a planet of fear and despair. It was a world that had witnessed the best of humanity. Before leaving, Kale approached Juno. "Will you return?" he asked. Juno smiled. "If you call, we will answer. That is what humans do." With that, the transport ships lifted off, carrying humans and beasts back into the stars. Kyle watched until they disappeared from sight, a sense of gratitude and awe filling his heart. The galaxy had been silent for so long, but now it knew the truth. Humans were a force unlike any other. They fought not for conquest, but for life. They adapted, they strategized, they inspired. And wherever they went, hope followed. Kale turned to the citizens of Velora, now helping each other rebuild homes and lives. "We will tell our children the story of Earth's warriors," he said, "of the planet that answered our call. And we will teach them that courage, intelligence, and compassion can change the universe." Night fell over the city, peaceful for the first time in months. The stars twinkled above, silent witnesses to the events below. And somewhere across the galaxy, civilizations that had once ignored Velora would soon hear the tales of humans and their beasts, of courage, ingenuity, and the indomitable spirit that had saved a world. Kale smiled. The call for help had been answered. The beasts had roared, and Earth had sent hope. Valora would survive, and humanity's legend had begun.